This is the New Balance 1080 V14 and it has been voted one of the best daily trainers, but this week I'm going to put it through its paces and I'm going to do a full week of half marathon training. I plan to do 100 kilometers of running this week. I'll be doing 2 sessions, a long run and 3 easy runs. I'm going to give you my honest opinion on what I think about the trainer. So the 1080 volume 14 came in at around £159 or $270 US. I was not given this shoe by any company. I bought this in a UK size 10. The fit was pretty good for me. I would suggest buying your normal running trainer size. The stack height is 38mm with a 6mm drop. I would say the shoe is slightly on the heavier side with my size, a UK size 10, coming in at just over 300 grams. Now in terms of upgrades from the Volume 13, New Balance say that the latest model of fresh foam technology is allegedly a more energetic rebound than the Volume 13 model. New Balance say there is an ultra cushioned ride offering a smooth transition from heel to toe, so we will be giving that a test and putting that through its paces. New Balance also say that there is a new triple jacket mesh on the version 14. This helps allegedly with performance and anti-blistering. There's also a gusted tongue on here and this secures the midfoot. There are also varying widths available here in the UK. You can get standard or 2E width. I believe there are additional widths available to customers over in the United States of America. In terms of what I think of the price, I think it is slightly on the more expensive side of a premium daily trainer. Considering there isn't a carbon plate in here, it probably does put it around the more expensive of the daily trainers. Nonetheless, I'm very much looking forward to giving this shoe a go. Some really good reviews so far. I'll take you with me on each of the runs that I do this week, a wide variety of runs. So yeah, let's give it a good go. Good morning everyone. We are just out here getting my Sunday long run done. Well actually it's with a bit of a twist today because yesterday I did my longest run ever to date. I did 31 kilometers as part of a session, so today slightly different. The long run will just be 90 minutes. First impressions are they're quite comfortable. They feel, as I thought, quite pillowy and marshmallowy, and yeah, I'm liking them so far. Only slight concern I've got with them is I'm wearing slightly thicker socks, and I would say towards the toe box my toes are just rubbing a tiny bit, but I don't think that's necessarily down to the shoe. It might be because I'm wearing slightly thicker socks. They feel quite bouncy and they feel like the ideal shoe for a day like today where I've done a few miles a day before. I need to recover, but I also want to run some distance. And I think this is probably a very good shoe for that kind of run. Okay, day 2 of testing today. Today we're going to be doing some more specific speed work. In particular, the 10k pace work today. Plan of attack is 4 by 3 minutes at my 10k pace, which is currently 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So we're going to see how the shoes pair up with some speed work. I've changed the socks over today, so I've gone for some slightly thinner socks. Had a little bit of rubbing issues with the thicker socks on Sunday, so I'm going to try the thinner ones, see how we get on, and yeah, let's see how we go. Okay, first of 4 reps, 3 minutes, let's go. That is the end of the first rep. 3:10 on the clock. It felt like they were a little bit warm. A few hot spots, but it's not bad. You see there's no plate in there and they're not designed for speed. So I'll catch up with you at the end of this session and I'll feed back to the full session, but the first rep done, 3 more to go. 4 sets all done.
Unfortunately, I progressively got a little bit slower as each rep went on. I was against a pretty strong headwind. Nevertheless, how did the shoes fare? Well, mixed opinions, to be quite honest with you. I kind of anticipated that running at a faster pace was going to be quite difficult in these shoes. As I mentioned earlier, there's no carbon. There's also very soft foam in there. So I don't think I'll be wearing these shoes again for these type of sessions. Very comfy. We'll keep trying them, keep testing them. But yeah, on to the next one. So 6 reps in, 4 to go. I'll be honest, this pace is feeling all right actually in these shoes. Still a little bit of heat coming through my right foot and a tiny bit of rubbing, but all in all, it's not too bad. I'm hitting about 319, 318 average rep on those 2 minutes, so it's nothing disgustingly quick, but it's sharp enough. And yeah, feeling all right, so we'll keep pushing. Job done, session done, just over 18 kilometers. The pace was probably a little bit harder in these shoes than anything else I would normally wear. I'd normally wear quite a firm shoe or something, maybe with a plate in if I'm feeling a little bit tired. You could still probably just about get away with doing that session in those shoes. The fastest pace I ran was 10k pace, and for me that was around 310 to 312. I would not want to go any faster, and I only did 2-minute reps at that pace. I wouldn't really do any longer than that either, but everything else in terms of the recoveries and the warm-up and cool down, these shoes felt sublime. So I will be giving them a test tomorrow, doing some 200-meter efforts, 10 by 200 meters down at the track. A little bit nervous for those in these because, as I mentioned on my run, there was a little bit of heat building up in my feet when I was on the faster reps. But other than that, I'm happy with them so far. Let's move on to the next one. So this is my penultimate run of the week, and today we're doing a track workout. We're doing 10 by 200 meters, 200 meters in around 32 seconds. So this will be the fastest work that I do this week. It is -1, it is absolutely freezing. So I've got all the layers on today. We've also got the shoes on, of course. I've been impressed so far this week with the medium pace running and the slower stuff, not quite with the faster stuff, but today is the fastest running we're gonna do in these shoes. So we're gonna get into some 200s. I've done my warm up and I've done my strides and I'm ready to go. Okay, so there we go. So that is my last run done of the week, and that was my easy run to finish off the week. I wanted to do every single run that I would normally do in a week's training: tempo runs, over under, long runs, track sessions, easy runs, everything to give it my honest review. I'm going to tell you at the end of this video if it will be going into my shoe rotation or not. So let's start with the things that I really enjoyed about this shoe. For me, I've had a hard few runs the last few days, and today's run my legs felt really, really heavy. But putting this shoe on has made my run today an awful lot easier. I felt like there was an awful lot of assistance in this shoe without it feeling too much like a recovery shoe, and I can hold a sensible, decent pace without feeling like I'm just doing slow recovery miles. What makes it different for me than something like a Nike React Invincible is there is more pop to this shoe. It doesn't feel like I'm just hitting the ground and I'm not getting too much energy return
turn. In this, it feels like there is a bit of fizz back up, and it is easier to put one foot in front of another. I also really do enjoy the look of this shoe when I look down. Now, I'm quite particular with my trainers. When I look down at my feet, I want to look down at something that I can think is aesthetically pleasing. There was no issue whatsoever with the ankle lock. The laces never came undone, and the grip on the bottom of the shoe was really, really good. So in terms of the runs that I was doing that I really did enjoy, the longer runs and the slower pace ones, for me, where this shoe really came into its all. It felt like I was having to put less energy into the run to get the pace and the feel that I would normally do. They really looked after my legs in those days where I needed it to be looked after. So of course we did do a full week, so there will be some negatives with this shoe. Now, I would say that all the speed work I do, and I would pretty much say every single speed session I did, was a very, very big chore in these shoes. Specifically that 200 meter, 10 by 200 meter session at the track on Friday. It took so much effort just to get up to my top speed in these shoes, and when I did, I found that there was some heat patches and hot spots in the bottom of my feet in these trainers. I know they're not designed for speed, but I wasn't quite expecting it to be as difficult as it was. Also, those longer tempo efforts, so those 4 by 3 minutes and the over-under session I did as well, they certainly were harder than if I were to wear something like my Nike Pegasus, which also doesn't have a plate in, but for me, I know they've got those Zoom X foam in, which Nike use in a lot of their super shoes, but I would feel far more comfortable doing that session in that shoe than I would do in this one. Of course, this shoe isn't designed and built for speed, but I was expecting a little bit more out of those sessions. The tempo work was difficult, and it certainly felt harder than what I thought it would do. I think it's more manageable than going up to when I was doing the pace that I was doing at the 200 meter reps, but ultimately I will be avoiding this shoe for any speed work whatsoever. So will this shoe be going into my rotation? And the answer is absolutely yes, because I have a very specific run in mind. As I just mentioned, when I do a race or if I have a big session, the following day I tend to put on my Nike Invincibles, but I'm actually now going to swap those out, and I'm going to put these shoes into that session, because for me they feel like they've got a lot more pop and more to offer than the Invincibles. The Invincibles are a very good shoe, don't get me wrong, but they do feel a little bit dull and heavy at times. So I'm gonna try with these ones for now. I have really enjoyed this week testing out this shoe, doing sessions in a shoe that I wouldn't normally do them in, so it has been quite a good learning curve, but it's been a lot of fun. This shoe will be going into my shoe rotation. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Right on time for the parties and Barbies. Strolling with a chunk of green like a golf swing.